we could film, but if you want to film it, please get permission or what.
It's like Shanmugam is doing a stand-up comedy special. You can't just go there and film. So, if I were to go to someone on the street and, show them multiple hearts in addition to a middle finger, and they punch me in the face, you think I can just say, I showed you 7 hearts, but you're just fixating on the middle finger?
We are perfectly polite, but, I got angry and shouted, "Coward!"
Yeah. Don't make it sound like the MPS now is a battleground.
Yeah,
you go there most of the time, I think just uncles and aunties sitting around being cordial and all.
So Singapore's hitting the big 60 this year. It's SG60. And Folklore is marking this milestone in the coolest way possible by interviewing 60 Singaporean seniors over 60 years old to capture their life stories for the Words of Wisdom project. Now think about it. These are the folks who've seen it all. The ups, the downs, the kopitiams turning into hipster cafes. And their stories, they're national heirlooms that need to be preserved for future generations. And guess what? We've already recorded and launched the first wave of 20 recordings, so you can listen to these raw, unfiltered conversations filled with life lessons, memories, and a whole lot of heart. But here's the deal. We still need your help to find more legends to feature. Got a parent, grandparent, or their uncle who's always dropping nuggets of wisdom at family gatherings? Nominate them at folklore.com/words of wisdom. Let's make sure these stories don't get lost in the noise. So go check out the first wave of recordings on the Words of Wisdom website or Spotify playlist. Let's keep these stories alive. And now, onto the podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with a touch of what, Terrence?
Good old humor.
Good old humor, man.
Yeah.
How was the weekend, man?
It was great. We had the episode with Hazel Phua come out on Friday. And yeah, there was a lot of buzz about the episode. It kind of kickstarted whole elections coverage that we're going to do,
that's
right?
true. That kind of set the ball rolling already.
Yeah. First shot fired. Yeah.
First shot fired. And I mean, we are recording with a bunch of people in the coming weeks.
So yeah, make sure. I think there's a lot of new subscribers who discovered us over the weekend.
Correct.
But yeah, so it's awesome that we have a new bunch of people listening to us.
Actually, officially kicked off.
Yeah.
And I mean, kudos to Hazel for coming on and just answering any questions we threw at her. And I think, people appreciated that. Because she hasn't actually done a long-form podcast or interview yet.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, yep.
It was our first time meeting her.
Yeah.
So, interesting. Interesting.
Yeah. And it was right off quite an intense week already, right? We talked about the Tan Si Ling thing with Leong Man Wai. And we talked about the new EVRC report.
Yeah, that's true.
And then we ended the week with this cherry on top.
That's what we live for. Some weeks you're just scrambling for news, but last week was great.
Well, but get used to it. I think this is the pace going forward already.
Yeah.
We're recording a lot, and I think these couple of topics we're going to talk about today, people were asking us about it on Friday already.
Yeah, right. Because the news broke on Thursday night, right? But Friday we already had plans for something else. But this thing even, carried on having momentum over the weekend.
Yeah, correct. So, but I mean, other than that, was your weekend a normal weekend?
Yeah, okay. So, So recently, my wife and I, we brought our kid to Gardens by the Bay, and we used the stroller, because it used to be a car seat attached to a stroller.
Yeah.
So now she's using the stroller, and we realized that the first time we brought her, she was unhappy the whole way until we started running because it started drizzling. So we're like, hey, actually, maybe she likes speed. So this weekend, we went for a jog with the stroller.
Oh, with the stroller?
Yeah, with her in the stroller.
Is it a stroller made for jogging?
No. I mean, we don't jog fast.
Okay.
Just slow. I mean, in bouts of time, she would cry and all. Then I could tell all the other joggers looking at us, look at his two idiotic parents.
Yeah,
After a while, she calmed down and he was like, hey, great, we can run with our child.
Why don't you get the jogger strollers, those big ass ones with proper, what do you call it?
Not yet, suspension and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, that one if you want to run long distances, because this was the first time we tried. I think overall positive experience. So if you're doing it more, then we'll consider.
Yeah. Just do it before it becomes borderline child abuse, when it's vibrating inside and then you're like, whatever, just running.
No, but the thing is, when it's bumpy and all, that's when she's calm. So even when in a car, whenever we stop at the traffic light, she cries.
Yeah.
When in the car seat. So she likes movement.
Oh, movement.
Yeah. So got bump, I still avoid. But yeah, it was like a new thing, new unlock.
I see.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
bit by bit, you got to find all these things along the
Yeah,
way.
because
right?
I mean, like trying to exercise, like it has been a bit hard, and it is a big part of like what we like our lives pre-child. So now trying to squeeze in, if it means like going for a jog with the kid.
Or you could go rucking with the child. You know, like hiking with a rucksack, but you carry the child instead of
correct.
anything.
But the thing about running, you just go down and you can start running wherever. Whereas rucking, I mean,
plan.
yeah, you got to plan
Heat
and stuff like
and
that.
everything also.
Yeah. So I mean, so that was a nice thing, lah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. For you?
That's cool. Okay, I mean, I just had a lot of fun doing a lot of outdoor stuff over the weekend. I guess one of my highlights would have been I had an intergenerational basketball match 1-on-1 where I, as an old millennial, I didn't play a Gen Z player. I played a Generation Alpha basketball player.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
1-on-1?
Yeah, friend's kid lah. And then we just like at the basketball court, we're like, hey, let's play 1-on-1. And I lived to tell the tale. Yeah, I survived.
But who won?
I mean, I didn't want to bring it up lah, but since you're bringing it up, I won by a whisker lah, whisker.
And Generation Alpha means how old?
I think he's 13 years old. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously he's much better than me and everything, but maybe my experience, in managing my energy and all that towards the end.
Your height difference, was it a huge height difference?
I think he's as tall as me, if not taller already. Yeah. So, I mean, give him another 6 months, he'll be towering over me.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I was quite proud of myself for not collapsing and getting a heart attack by the
I mean, you won. You humble brag. You say he's a lot better than you, but you still beat him. That's a humble brag.
Correct, but he was wearing slippers. I was wearing like shoes. I had like basketball gear, everything decked up. Yeah. So, intergenerational pride.
But your leg's not sore today.
No, terrible. Regret the decision to play, but it was, at least I came out alive.
Well, just like you're your local version of Luka Doncic.
Correct. Overweight. And still can play.
Killing
still
can ball. Still can ball. And I got his name right?
Yes, Doncic.
Doncic.
Yeah. It's okay. Close enough. I'm sure we're both not the best at pronouncing the name.
Yeah. But I mean, now because I've been watching, I see a lot of his highlights.
Yeah. There's something very interesting about the way he plays. Quite hypnoptic when you watch it.
Yeah, and he can do everything.
Yeah, and he doesn't look like a LeBron, like a freak athlete or anything like that.
Yeah, because I mean, Steph Curry was known for 3-pointers and all, but Doncic also like can everything.
Yeah.
And he doesn't look like a specimen when
exactly. So it's
nuts. Nuts.
But it was hot. It was a hot weekend. The heat was crazy. So being out there running with your kid, me playing basketball, maybe not the best.
But we went in the evening.
Oh, you went in the evening. Okay.
Otherwise, it's shag, man. But this is the real Singapore.
The real Singapore.
But
speaking of the real Singapore, right? I think a lot of Singaporeans have found us in the last few days.
Yeah.
I guess what we want to say is welcome to Yalla But, where we do podcasts about 3 times a week about current affairs with comedy. And if you like what you're watching, please make sure to like, share, follow, subscribe to whatever channel you're viewing this on. And if you want to work with us as well,
reach out at contact@ministryoffunny.com or just check out ministryoffunny.com and drop us a message there.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Cool.
All right. So this first topic that kind of broke on Thursday night. And it broke on Facebook.
Yeah.
Because Minister of Law, Shanmugam, he posted something on his Facebook page that was a 7-minute video of him at his most recent Meet the People session. It was at the Chong Pang branch office.
Yeah.
And it was his interactions with 2 women who had come to see him and what went down with that interaction.
Yeah.
So, I mean, essentially over the 7 minutes, I think that there was one part where they were talking first and then he went off. And then second part, he came back.
Yeah.
And then there was it was tense.
Yeah.
And if I could sum it up, these 2 women wanted to talk to him about POFMA. And he was telling them at the start that he has to see his residents first. And after they pushed, he said, you can drop me an email. We can set up a time with someone in my team.
Yeah.
And they pressed to speak to him there and then. After some discussions, he walked off. The 2 women and another man started calling him coward. He came back, scolded them. And then, there was some photos taken, some videos taken, some fingers and hearts shown at the camera.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing a lot of people have already seen this video.
I think definitely have to watch the video.
Yeah, 7 minutes. And you're smiling because how many times you've watched the video already?
I don't know, multiple, man. I think I told you before this, I really enjoyed watching the video.
That is okay.
I really enjoyed it.
Can you explain why? Because I watched it, I was like, it's just shit in multiple ways But you enjoyed it.
You drank the Kool-Aid You just read the narrative. You followed the narrative of like this terrible and everything
No. I read as many narratives as I could I could find.
Yeah.
But I felt this was a disappointing video.
Okay. I mean, the video about what it is But I mean, I enjoyed it a lot because it was very real, right? You could. And the quality of the microphone that Shanmugam or whoever was filming was using.
You teared up.
No, yeah, you could hear how not say off the rails but like basically he got very emotional Shanmugam, especially the part after he responded to them calling him coward. You could hear his voice vibrating a little bit and the way he was like, "Let me finish," and then all that So it's very rare that you see Shanmugam, so raw like this Of course, you see him in Parliament, but again, Parliament is, it's a speech prepared and there's a purpose that they're there. But this one, he's reacting to people on the ground. And similar to our podcast like that, when we had him on, I think a lot of people appreciated that they could see quite an unfiltered version of, a very polished politician, right? So in some sense, watching this also, this was very raw emotions out there, both from Shanmugam's side and the activist side. So that's why I enjoyed it a lot. It's not because anyone was being targeted on both sides, but it's just the
rawness.
Yeah, the rawness. You rarely see this peek behind the curtain of how they behave under stress.
I know you said you love watching people get in the flow at live performances, right? I mean, I love that too also. But it feels like you also saw this as like, wow, this is them bearing their souls.
It is, yeah. It reminds me of like watching an orchestra, they're climaxing and the orchestra conductor is like just swaying and going nuts already, right? And it felt like this one had a real build up towards that. That's why I enjoyed it so much. I really even watch it from start to finish several times.
The three acts, right? The climax, coward.
Exactly. So that's why I enjoyed it. But I think anyone should watch it just to have an understanding of like why it's such a. We don't see this every day in Singapore, right?
Yeah.
This kind of confrontations at the Meet the People session, or at least we read about it, but we might not have video evidence of it. This one, there's video evidence, and like I mentioned, the sound quality is really amazing from the microphones.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, you can see Shanmugam's microphone. Some people point out between the second and third button. And I mean, okay, so you mentioned narratives, right? So one narrative is the one from Shanmugam, and then after that, a bunch of PAP MPs and ministers who came out to echo, and it is that these women are causing deliberate rowdyism and rudeness. And apparently they are part of a small number of persons going around to different MPS sessions run by PAP MPs to be deliberately confrontational, create incidents, try and provoke. So there's that narrative that these two women are troublemakers and part of a bigger group of troublemakers. Then there is the other narrative. I think people like Kirsten Han, PJ Tam kind of pointed out that, don't pile on them until we hear their side of the story. Right? The people who are maybe a bit more compassionate, a bit more like, okay, here are concerned citizens. I mean, nobody likes to go there and wait, but they still did it. Let's hear them out. Then the two women put out a statement on a Google Doc that has been widely shared. It's titled, "The Parts He Left Out." And I mean, we will put a link in the show notes, but I'm pretty sure if you are keeping track of this, you may have come across it. And they gave their version of the affairs, which talked about certain parts that, not captured in that video. And how scared and vulnerable they felt. And then you get a bunch of the MPs and ministers, I think quite a few from the Malay Muslim community, coming out and saying, this does not represent Malay Muslim values. And, it's the holy month of Ramadan. People should not be showing a finger and all that. And then now I think everyone's kind of trying to piece together and form their opinions. And then you also get the Instagram account, which is also the acronym is also MPS. It is Mondays
of Palestine Solidarity.
Mondays of Palestine Solidarity. Who clarified, because I think Shanmugam and a few other politicians implied that these girls were part of Mondays of Palestine Solidarity, and they were organizing these things. So, and then MPS, now I fucking differentiate also.
Yeah.
Mondays of Palestine, I'll just say Mondays of Palestine for short, clarified that them going to the session was not part of their activities.
Yeah.
But they still stand with these two women.
Yeah.
So those are all the narratives and POVs that I found so far. So before we dive deep, did I miss out anything? Or did you come across any other perspectives?
I think that's between the two parties and the people who are, tangentially involved. I think that is it. Yeah.
So I mean, like, how did your thoughts about this evolve, with each time you watch the video, consume and all that?
No, interesting, because I think Thursday night already people were pinging us saying, hey, are you going to talk about this issue, right?
Yeah.
And I think the temptation was there for us to quickly record something as well and put it out, But I did feel like we needed to hear from the other side and see and really hear both sides of the story, right? Because at first I didn't even realize that the video was being taken by someone from Shanmugam's side, right? And after that, there was a cut in the edit, right?
Yeah.
Where a large chunk was probably left out. So I did want to see, was there going to be a video from the other side? Don't think there was. But yeah, the statement came out and it was a very, very detailed statement.
Yeah.
And also, then it also made me go and dig a bit more into Mondays of Palestine Solidarity, even though they say that they did not, they're not behind this particular MPS visit. But over the weekend, that Instagram page for Mondays of Palestine Solidarity just was really active.
Yeah.
Like they posted details of every single Meet the People session that they had attended. They had a statement about how they felt like this particular instance with Shanmugam really vilified the organization, even though they didn't have anything to do with it, right? Called out the mainstream media, called out Shanmugam's post, and disagreed with the statement of the MPS is only for residents dealing with bread and butter issues and things like that, right?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of activity going on, and it kind of made me, there's a bit of difference between the narrative of the particular narrative was we are just two concerned citizens, two women, who felt very vulnerable in the moment, versus what I was seeing, almost quite a coordinated response to everything going on, right?
But
coordinated in the sense of social media.
But the coordinated came from Mondays of Palestine.
Correct.
Yeah.
Of which I think these two ladies are affiliated of.
Yeah.
But there was a wave of content over the weekend from Mondays of Palestine, right? So it did feel, it made me realize, is there, when we look at everything in totality, does it match what the two ladies were saying, where it was really just the two of them against, the army of Shanmugam and his volunteers? But how about you, when all this news broke, why you got so pissed off watching the video?
When I saw the video on Thursday night, I was like, fuck this shit. And I say fuck this shit from the perspective of these activists doing things that are more destructive than constructive.
Okay.
It's like, when we spoke about previously the deflating of tires of SUVs.
Yes.
The cause
and there was the guy who was, because of climate change, he was going around deflating SUV vehicles' tires, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, putting a flyer on there saying that, we're doing this because of climate, we want to fight climate change, and your choice to buy an SUV is a very bad one, right?
Yeah, correct. And I mean, in this case, I was like, there are certain things. Of course, I also was trying to remind myself, okay, this is just a video, and the mic quality did stand out.
Yeah.
And then because it was posted by Shanmugam, I also wanted to know the other side. But even from the video itself, the way they were acting, it felt like even before things escalated, there was a lot of antagonism from them. And the fact that, when they saw someone was taking a picture or video, one of them showed the middle finger.
Yeah.
And then they're shouting of coward.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of how Shanmugam conducts himself sometimes. But when I saw that, I was like, wow, this is making them a bit indefensible in terms of how they're acting.
Yeah.
And it almost felt like, that's just terrible.
Yeah.
Of course, it made me also think Wait, not to say that was this staged or something, but was it just because towards the end of the video, Shanmugam himself said, you all have been to other MPS sessions. La.
Yeah.
I know you all are causing trouble, which made me think, okay, is this already something that has been happening? And you can imagine a politician who is as savvy as Shanmugam understanding who is he dealing with. And that's where maybe there was the precautionary measure taken. Okay, let's record video and audio. La.
Yeah.
I don't know. When I went to his Facebook page, there are a couple of other videos of him interacting with residents where he is also mic'd up. So I don't know whether that's par for the course. I don't know whether that's the norm. But this felt like, oh shit. So where it started like getting a bit, okay, I don't agree with how the activists acted, but what Shanmugam was doing in the capacity of Minister of Home Affairs and Law, posting the video just to show what his team had captured. That's why it felt like, wow, this is going to get ugly.
Gonna get ugly.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you say your initial disgust and everything was towards the behavior, right?
Yeah.
So the content of it was bad, regardless of who filmed the video.
Yeah,
right?
correct.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's a big detail, right? That it seemed like the very initial reaction I was reading online, was like, I not like what you said, not a biggest fan of Shanmugam, but basically you guys made him look like Gandhi in this exchange, right?
Even that picture, right, of Shanmugam trying to talk to them, then one of them showing the heart, another showing the finger.
Yeah.
You're like, oh.
So yeah, I mean, totally with you, I saw that, I was like, you're not helping the cause at all, and some people I saw online did point out that even the clothes that they're wearing, the press t-shirt, right, was that part of a larger conspiracy theory of like trying to make it look like Singapore suppressing press freedom and all that, by like not allowing these two people labeled as press to talk to a minister and all that. So yeah, I mean, that the optics of everything just wasn't in the favor of these two activists, right? And I mean, aside from who's recording and all these things, I did feel like they did not conduct themselves in a way that people would sympathize with them.
Yeah.
And that would say that, hey, they deserve to be heard, right? In fact, I think online, it's not just people who are not fans of Shanmugam. Like, I think you mentioned the Malay Muslim community. A lot of people also came forward and spoke up against what they did, especially in the month of Ramadan and all as well, right?
Yeah.
But the filming side of things, because there's a big thing that they argue about, right?
In their statement.
In their statement, even in the video, they said they call him coward because they were very upset that they were being filmed and captured while they couldn't do likewise to the people, right? You said that you understand their frustration there, is it?
I mean, you can literally listen to what's being said there, right? Like, I think they were told to stop filming. But then Shanmugam said to his team that this is a public space, so you can film.
Yeah.
Just carry on filming. So that's where I was like, that does feel a bit odd. And also the part when Shanmugam said something that he only sees residents, it feels like that is more a choice rather than in black and white, right? That MPS is only for residents.
Yeah.
Right? And even the way they were questioning him about that, like, oh, I think he said yes or no. Then he's like, yes, no, which is it? What's your answer?
And he said, are you accusing me of lying? Right?
Yeah.
Because they said that I don't see anywhere that, I can only speak to you if I'm a resident and all that.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So I mean, did that stand out to you initially also, the almost seeming double standard?
Well, I mean, that like, because in production, when you want to go and film any government property, especially police headquarters or even police posts or a government building, right? Especially Ministry of Home Affairs and police, SCDF headquarters, whatever, there's actually a lot of rules against these things. So in some way, maybe filming a minister of Home Affairs specifically might have certain restrictions as well. I'm not sure. But I've been like stopped when, if my camera is in the vicinity of like, a police building, the police headquarters or anything, right?
Yeah.
Stopped by random people outside the facilities. So in some way, depending on what the intention is of filming the Minister of Home Affairs, maybe there could be, it might raise questions. What I'm saying is that it's not just in Singapore, right? Probably any country where you hold a camera in front of a public official and everything, they will be asking you, hey, what are you doing? What are you filming for? And all that, right? So is there a difference in the treatment of filming a minister versus filming a regular citizen? Maybe there is.
But I mean, conversely, like I think when it's law enforcement, I don't know whether it's Singapore or the US, but you can totally film people in law enforcement, and it's your right lah almost.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether, as much as you say, there might be differences in whether you can record a minister or a public figure versus citizen. It might also be that you have more liberty to record a public figure than a private citizen.
Possibly.
And also what his argument was, right, telling his team that this is a public place.
Yeah.
You can record. Like outside the MHA building is not really a public place. If you're recording there, this is almost like you're trespassing lah. But if you can tell
No. Listen, you're standing on the road.
Yeah.
But if your camera is direct, facing,
then cannot lah.
You can't do that. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
restricted lah.
Yeah. So I mean, in some way, what you're filming is not private property, right? But in this case, he told his team that this is a public place.
Yeah.
You can film. So I would imagine if I hear that, the converse should also be true, lah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I can also get the argument that you said that he has kind of given them the clearance to film what happens at MPS. I don't know whether there's any fine print that if you come for an MPS session, like how when we hold events,
Yeah.
the understanding is you are an audience, you come here, we are going to film you. But if they come and film us, we can be like, hey, the dynamic is not completely reciprocated.
Yeah.
So maybe there is something here.
Yeah.
But I guess what he was saying, if like someone comes for our event and we say, yeah, we can film because this is a public space, I think it's a bit hard to push back when someone wants to record us.
Correct, yeah.
But we say this is a private event. It's ticketed. We are filming. We own the IP, so please don't film.
Yeah.
But in this case, you're saying this is a public place. So that's why wording it that way, then I feel like, it should go both ways.
Yeah. I mean, but don't forget also that there are people who go for Meet the People sessions, right? Who are there sort of seeking help from the MPs, right?
Yeah.
For quite sensitive issues, whether it's family or finances and things like that.
Yeah.
And it can be quite, it can be quite embarrassing, as much as it's a public place and all that.
Yeah.
You also don't want to be seen being filmed there, or your family see you in the video and things like that also, right?
Yeah.
So maybe there is an expectation, there could be an expectation, like you said, a sign or something there that says like, hey, a lot of the exchanges taking on in the MPS are confidential and sensitive in nature, might not be breaking any laws, but could be dealing with someone's family problems, financial problems, all these things. And we don't want it to accidentally get out there, right? And you have to, as the MP being in charge of it, I think you would want to enforce that, hey, if anyone brings a camera here, we got to ask him why.
Yeah.
But in some ways, you are the boss of the place and all. And if you set certain rules or what, I think you just need to be clear about enforcing it, right?
Yeah.
You need to be clear, make sure there's documentation around it. We could film, but if you want to film it, please get permission or what.
Yeah. It's like Shanmugam is doing a stand-up comedy special. You can't just go there and film.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. You go to any stand-up comedy special, you can't just go there and film.
Take things out of context.
Yeah, take things out of context.
Yeah. So, I mean, there I can see certain justifications of why filming at MPS can be quite sensitive, right? And if the MP decides that, hey, people shouldn't be allowed to film here, I can understand why as well. So in some sense, I mean, the talk of intimidation and all that, just it's from their perspective, they feel intimidated, but there's also other people there at the MPS session that they are not thinking about, right?
Yeah. And I mean, that's why I think they wanted to kind of like put out their statement. So if I can just go through some excerpts from what they put on from their Google Doc. I mean, they clarified that they went to the MPS session to talk about how POFMA is being used and their concerns around it. They made it clear to every volunteer that screened them. Apparently there were 5 of them. And they made it clear while they would like to see Shanmugam, they were okay with waiting until all the residents had been seen first. And then they said, if this was not related to Shanmugam, this is the internal communications. Then the second thing they wanted to address was in their words, blatant filming and intimidation. So according to them, they were already ready to leave, but when he said he wanted to meet them, they said, okay, let's meet. Then he went around to greet every resident, and there were security personnel following Shanmugam, but when he was meeting other residents, they kept their distance, but with them, when they mentioned they want to talk about POFMA, apparently the security personnel closed in. And then they said, they were encircled. And I quote, they said, "We came in good faith and we were perfectly polite. So why were we treated differently from other citizens as if we were a threat?" They felt vulnerable. They asked them to stop recording, and then that's where Shanmugam was caught on camera saying, it's they can record because it's a public space. And then they after that, apparently they spoke to him for like an hour. But they said it was a very one-sided conversation, where they couldn't get a word in. And they felt like he was not kind of listening to them and their concerns about POFMA. And then they did say that, they couldn't understand why Shanmugam was implying that he only has a responsibility to Nee Soon residents. And is he not the Minister of Law and Home Affairs for the whole of Singapore?
Yeah.
So I think what they were trying to make a point is that it's totally fair game to bring up POFMA at a Meet the People session.
Yeah.
And that they have everything to lose and nothing to gain, but they still did it. And, it's a bit unfair how people are expecting them to behave opposite a trained and seasoned politician. And then, so I mean, they kind of pointed out many times that, it's not easy to bring it up to one of the most powerful ministers in Singapore. And that him going ahead and posting a video where you could kind of make out their identities would result in a lot of hate. And that he should know better and understand his influence.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the document is a lot longer, but those were the main extracts.
Yeah.
And I again, people are divided on that. But reading that, like, what came to mind?
I just found it funny they mentioned that we came in good faith and were perfectly polite.
Yeah.
But then when you really look up the word coward in the article, they just said, yes, we became angry, and some of us yelled that he was a coward, and then that's pretty much the only one of two times that they mentioned the word coward, right?
Yeah.
Which I think, if you watch the video, it was really like a trigger, right? A turning point where it got really aggressive. And the fact that they talk about being polite, they talk about feeling vulnerable, but they kind of gloss over the part where basically they made that first initial very aggressive action, right? Of calling him a coward directly. Because before that, the third finger and all the sarcastic poses, all that, were not directed at Shanmugam directly. They were directed at the people filming, right?
Yeah.
But the moment that they directed that word coward to Shanmugam, that's when everything turned. I think obviously everything turned a bit more hostile between both parties, right?
Yeah.
So I just find that, that they kind of like, they're perfectly polite and they are the vulnerable group of sisters and all that, doesn't square with the fact that they were the ones who raised the temperature in the room, right? And started calling him coward. But they don't address that. They just say that was just a spur of the moment emotional thing, right?
Yeah. And
I think it's quite unfair to expect that everyone needs to maintain some kind of decorum, even though they're being shouted at and called a coward.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think it's very fair also to whether it's, yes, a powerful man with a big team and all.
Yeah.
But it's when you shout coward so publicly in front of a lot of people in public, I couldn't, there's no video of the crowd and everything, right?
Yeah. You
are asking for a confrontation, no?
Yeah, because when I saw this Google Doc link sent in one of our WhatsApp groups, I was actually hoping, going to hear the other side. But after reading this, right, it's hard to feel sympathy.
Hard, yeah.
It's hard. And that is what is even more fucking annoying. Because, yes, you have a cause. Yes, you're very passionate about the cause. It's an important cause. But by doing this, right, it's kind of like feeling a bit entitled.
Yeah.
And I mean, you mentioned certain things in the document. Even when they try to justify the showing of the middle finger, right? They said, please understand that we were scared being surrounded like this. So in the moment, as a form of resistance and to make our unhappiness with the filming felt, we reacted to the cameras that were in our face. We even made heart shapes with our fingers. But of course, everyone is fixating on the middle finger. So if I were to go to someone on the street and, show them multiple hearts in addition to a middle finger.
Yeah.
And they punch me in the face. You think I can just say, I showed you 7 hearts.
Yeah.
But you're just fixating on the middle finger.
Exactly.
So that's why I feel like, man, you want to make a defense, then you can argue about stuff that maybe there's a bit more to debate. For example, whether or not a citizen should bring up a case like POFMA, which is not related to any particular constituency at a Meet the People session.
Yeah.
So that one, I think maybe there's a bit more room to wiggle. But when you say, hey, we showed hearts also, but everybody's focusing on the finger. Then I'm like, what world do you live in?
Yeah.
Right.
We were perfectly polite, but, I got angry and shouted, "Coward!"
Yeah. And then, I mean, like, I know, International Women's Day just finished, but they said, like, we felt vulnerable as women.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like, man, I think that is also kind of like trivializing real gender violence, gender aggression.
Yeah.
And I feel, and then they also, I think, brought up the fact that they were fasting. Then it feels like, okay, like, how wasteful we gave up a proper dinner during Ramadan, eating only afterwards at almost 10 p.m. and even doing Maghrib prayers under the block, just for a chance to try and talk with someone who had already decided to vilify us.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where it feels like it's going so extreme and you are not getting chances to talk with the ministers because of your extreme approach. And then you're blaming them. Yeah. And again, I think, we both have made our opinions felt about, like, Shanmugam and how he conducts himself. Even when he came on our podcast, I don't know whether he'll come back. But to give people like him credit, like, if you take an extreme path like this, it's a bit hard to expect that a conversation happens.
Yeah.
Because even when you go to the Mondays of Palestine Facebook page, what they're doing is that they are disclosing a lot of the things they ask ministers at the MPS sessions. Like, we asked MP Shariel Taha 3 questions on Palestine and his reply, and they disclose his reply. I mean, on one hand, okay, you want more transparency. I think I can almost see some benefit to this, understanding what a minister's stance is on an issue like this.
Yeah.
Right? But hopefully you go there and you allow the residents to be given priority, because whatever I understand about Meet the People sessions, yes, you can talk about big policies in Parliament, at focus groups and all, but MPS feels like it's really like the nitty-gritties of everyday life. But even then, that is up for debate. Like, like for you, like, you think these sort of things should be brought up at MPS?
Yes,
MPSs?
I think you should. But there are certain, I guess there's certain rules in place that they have for it, right? If the Meet the People sessions happen on Mondays, then they happen on Mondays, right? You can't insist it must happen on Tuesday because it's a very important issue, right?
Yeah.
And if they say that, you should bring it up with your MP if you're a resident of that place, then they should stick to that. Because I think separately, all the other accounts are coming in of like how they've Mondays of Palestine Solidarity have conducted themselves at other Meet the People session also, right? I mean, it does sound like they had conversations with quite a number of these MPs as well. The answer was not to their liking, right? A lot of times, they talked about Carrie Tan saying that she'll pray for them and things like that, right? But there are ways to do it to get the point across. And I feel like running up to a minister when he's not actually in his ward and then calling him a coward is not something that will get people in your favor. Like Singaporeans are, for better or worse, right? They don't enjoy watching very confrontational behavior like that, right? And it's just the reality of how it is and how it's been in our politics for so long. So taking that a bit more Western style kind of activism and trying to do it here can actually be a big detriment to your reputation for a very long time. And I think opposition member Chi Sun Juan, his testament can talk about that kind of thing, right? Where his mode of there's one time he's very infamous for following Goh Chok Tong, then PM, around with a loud hailer, right? And sort of like following him around on his walks around the neighborhood. And I think after that, they actually turned a lot of voters off his style, right?
Yeah.
And in some ways, I see that happening now with this group as well. They are advocating for something very important, but the way they're doing it will not resonate with Singaporeans.
Yeah. And I mean, like to use an example, right? The whole recent case with Leong Man Wai and Tan See Leng, right? Where the Minister for Manpower, Tan See Leng, used a Cantonese catchphrase in Parliament, and kind of it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, including myself, like in response to Leong Man Wai, right? So if you look at Leong Man Wai's approach in Parliament, right?
Yeah.
There were times in the past where he was not the most polished and he was very adversarial. Saying it correctly, Terence, as some people have pointed out, not adversarial.
Yes.
Adversarial and almost detrimental to his own efforts, lah. But if you look at the recent case with Tan See Leng, yes, Leong Man Wai was asking the same question over and over again, but because he didn't kind of get emotional about it, and Tan See Leng did, and almost kind of resorted to, I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
You kind of like in the public eye, you kind of like lose out lah. Like I think Tan See Leng came away, at least for a certain population of the internet, the netizens, that including myself, that the way he conducted himself was not respectful. So in this case, anyone who wants to speak up about important issues that you feel are not getting enough attention are going to be facing an uphill battle. But you can also be smart about it lah. Like there's no way it'll be a level playing field, unfortunately. But the way you conduct yourself can be a little less destructive lah. And in this case, it feels like this Instagram page has been empowered by what has happened.
Yeah.
Which is what I think is wrong lah. It's not good because it almost feels like they feel victimized and it's another struggle that they are unfairly facing.
Yeah.
But it kind of makes them even more resolute in their cause lah.
Yeah.
But to me, they did their cause a disservice lah.
But they will say in Singapore, because of POFMA, because of all the strong laws against protests and things like that, what else do you want them to do? Like as activists lah, what else can we do? Like you want us to quietly, go behind closed door sessions and talk to MPs and then nothing gets done? We have to do something that makes noise and rattles the cage in some ways. Right?
Yeah, I mean to a certain extent, I do feel there's some truth to that.
Yeah.
Right. If like right now, protest is not allowed in Singapore, right?
Especially around the Israel-Gaza conflict, Israel-Hamas conflict and all that.
Yeah.
Right?
And if you speak to the PAP, the government, they will say, yes, there are sessions to discuss this. But it feels like that's not enough. So maybe that is the gap that I hope someone in the government is paying attention to. Because I totally agree with what you said, that thing that maybe there are not enough outlets. Maybe what is there is not enough. And people feel that they need to do something, which is dangerous.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I think some of the exchanges with the MPs also are quite interesting to read, right? Where the MP is really trying to, I think like Kerry Tan specifically, was trying to lean the discussion towards, yes, it's a humanitarian issue, right? But I think on their end, for the Mondays of Palestine Solidarity, and they're trying to push it towards why aren't we doing more in terms of sanctions against Israel, in terms of cutting all diplomatic ties with Israel and all that, right? So, I mean, a lot of times the MP, the only thing they can really conclude is that we'll write a letter on your behalf.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's not something that they can solve or they'll really manage to get satisfactory answers, I think, in these Meet the People sessions, which is why I think some of the MPs have voiced out that the MPS is not the place for this kind of discussion, because it's not going to be very productive or lead to any real resolutions, right? But that's it. Do you agree with what the justification that the MPS is really about all these bread and butter issues of the residents? Or if let's say you had something, you feel very strongly about the use of the word omelette versus the pronunciation of omelette versus omelette, right?
Like in Parliament, they banned the saying of omelette.
Yeah. And then you feel very aggrieved by you and your family, right? And you want to go and take care of an MP and all that. You feel like that's something worth the time, considering that the other people are there for real bread and butter issues?
I mean, I actually think that it could be a forum to bring up that kind of stuff. Because, I mean, we are very lucky to be able to sit across a table of ministers and MPs and the decision makers.
Yeah.
But before we started this podcast, it will be tough to get airtime. Right? You can email, but I think anytime you hear a government official say, you just drop us an email, in your mind you're like, okay, this is a gone case really, lost cause. So I do feel that maybe it would be good if you can bring this up. But then there needs to be a way to sort out the priority. That's for me. Like for you?
I think if there's enough of a critical mass of people who are concerned about issue, you can and you should, get especially the residents of an area, right, to whether sign, signatures or something like that, to get your MP to speak up about something in Parliament, right? So I know they've done it on on the social media and everything, signatures for Singapore government, or, but if you come together alongside your residents in the area, and then you present it to your MP who's in charge of your area, I think that kind of behooves your MP to really do something.
So you're saying they need to get a critical mass first?
Critical mass, like within that your particular area that you live, and then you go and talk to your MP, right? Which I wouldn't know if don't know if they have those kind of numbers or the kind of data about who supports them.
Their first post ever was calling for certain people, pro-Palestine residents in Bukit Batok SMC, Bukit Panjang SMC, Choa Chu Kang GRC.
Yeah.
So I think they are trying to work with people in those GRCs.
Yeah. But I mean the numbers, right?
Yeah.
I think the numbers ultimately, that's what the MPs are looking at when they make their decisions to bring things up to Parliament.
But then, so you're saying there should still be an avenue to do that at the MPS, except that it needs to come with a critical mass.
Within
but then how you
GRC
differentiate, okay, if this is an issue for your household, you're talking about the price of electricity going up and you cannot afford it, is it like tier 1? If it's an issue that's bigger than your household, you need to get critical mass.
Yeah.
So
I see what you're saying. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, MPS, there is limited time.
Correct, correct,
I think recently I wanted to go to my Meet the People session, and they told me, you have to come and take the ticket for damn early. And it'll be a long ass time before you can see. So it feels like the supply of requests to see your MP is really way higher than, the demand is way higher than the supply. And once you say, okay, you have any issues with policy or Singapore stance on thing, come to the MPS. Then how? Then if you're not happy with Ukraine, what Singapore stance on Ukraine is, you go to MPS, but then there must be a filter.
Correct. I mean, but that's why I think, getting, let's say, resident signatures and things like that is important, right?
Yeah.
And getting people together. And it's got to be people in the same constituency so when you speak to your MP, the MP knows that there's weight to it, right? And that involves a lot of work, probably going, walking the ground a little bit yourself and talking to people and all. So in some sense, if you're going to spend all that time waiting at the MPS to talk to the MP, maybe the time also can be spent going door to door, talking to residents and asking for their support to go and raise this with MP. Because I mean, I can imagine, if someone did come to my door to talk about this and say they're going to bring it up to the MP, I mean, I'll be like, okay I mean, it's good that young people are taking up this issue and they're willing to go and talk to the MP about it, and you can sign and support it, right?
But it means you need to, as opposed, let's say you got 1,000 people who want to talk about this, but they're all across Singapore. Right? You're saying you still need to get critical mass in your GRC.
I think that's how it works in Singapore, where, each MP is in charge of average 28,000 people or what, right? So you still can get, within that 28,000, if you can get a critical mass or a certain percentage, I think that is it's stronger than just going to your MP and insisting they must go and talk to Parliament because I'm one resident and it matters a lot to me.
Or you don't think they should have okay, we'll leave 1 hour for non-household issues, but that'll be the last hour, and that will be a separate kind of ticketing system. If it's your household, you go first
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why what you said earlier, it's very hard to define what exactly how it affects people, right? If I say that this conflict affects my mental health, then is it a personal issue or is it a wider policy issue?
So if it affects your mental health, then what you need to go get signatures for?
I mean, the idea is then it affects a lot of people in my if I'm the MP, then I see that it affects the mental health of a lot of people who live in my ward, right?
But that's like saying
it's a real thing.
That's like saying if electricity prices are going up, if it just affects you, I don't care. But you must go door to door and see how many people it affects, then you bring it up.
Electricity prices, but I mean, everyone pays the electricity prices regardless, right?
Yeah, but no, because you're saying if an issue like mental health is isolated to one person, especially when it comes to geopolitical issues, you need to make sure you got critical mass to warrant it getting airtime with the minister at MPS. Right? But that means, right now, someone who is facing issues just not being able to meet their electricity bills, they have a right to bring it up to their minister without getting critical mass. So that's where it feels like, even if I want to bring up the issue of Singapore stance on Palestine, it's not clear why I need to get traction for this if it's affecting me and my household.
Because it's a wider geopolitical kind of issue, right?
But why maybe the oil prices in the Middle East is going up higher. That's why electricity.
Yeah, then there's a
up.
wider geopolitical issue.
But then I cannot talk to my MP about electricity prices going up.
Electricity prices, like your geopolitical. I mean, it's your bread and butter kind of issues, right? That your MP probably has a quicker fix, right? But the truth is, like what I'm saying, the MP doesn't have a lot of solutions, immediate solutions to geopolitical issues, right? Because they involve the entire country, the entire government stance against for or against something, right? But if it's about more bread and butter issues, I think they have more immediate steps that they can take.
So maybe they need, I don't know how it is because in the end I didn't go to the Meet the People session.
Yeah.
When you're getting a ticket, I don't know whether is it like the polyclinic or Singapore Post Office where you go there, there's a friendly auntie that say, boy, what you want to do today? You want this? Okay, you press 2. Maybe they need to do that.
Maybe
yours is geopolitical. Okay, you press 3.
But they did say that they were asked, at least at certain MPSs, they were sort of pre-screened. The questions were pre-screened, and then the people tried to tell them, hey, this issue maybe they can only take it later or after everyone else.
Yeah.
So there is a so-called level of screening for these things already.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess maybe the MPS system is not perfect.
Yeah.
But and maybe there needs to be an outlet for people to raise up issues like this. Because I can imagine 20 years ago, if I was like when I was young, I didn't even care about politics. Right? So why would I care about geopolitical issues?
Yeah.
But now the fact that a lot more people are concerned about geopolitical issues, maybe there needs to be an MPS 2.0.
You're right. I think Bertha Hansen mentioned something like that, right? Where she talks about a lot of the MP's response. Sort of gatekeeping what kind of issues can be discussed at the MPS. And she's saying that, nowadays, the electorate is also different, right?
Yeah.
A bit more, they care about a lot more than just bread and butter issues. And maybe they also need to evolve what the MPS system is allowed to, or at least in their mind, is allowed to cover, right?
Yeah.
It does need to cover issues of wider scope than just the bread and butter issues within your ward.
Yeah.
But that's why, again, I still feel like, if they do want to get some cred when talking to the MP, there needs to be really show that they are talking to other residents in the area also, as opposed to, okay, I got one resident here, let's go together and then talk to your MP about this issue, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so that's where it feels like there's something that needs to be tweaked for MPS sessions.
If anything, I think maybe that's one good thing that
takeaway.
The takeaway is that people are trying to define what the MPS session can be or cannot be used for, and the decorum expected and the kind of rules around the MPS sessions, right? What is the purpose of MPS session if you cannot meet the people, right? When they want to talk to you.
Yeah.
So I guess that's something that is coming up a little bit more, a few days after the debate as well, where it's not just about the reaction to the middle finger or the coward word and all that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And I mean, people are quoting even David Marshall, who apparently was the architect behind the Meet the People sessions. And how the goal there was to make it as accessible for people of Singapore from anywhere, rich or poor, to help ministers understand their problems.
Yeah.
And I think that was to bridge the gap. But that was in 1955. Maybe now at this point, 1955, maybe people weren't even caring what was going on in the USSR or something like that.
Yeah.
But Singapore now, the fact is, people care about global issues.
Yeah.
And if there's no outlet to protest, there's no outlet to do this, then there needs to be an outlet for something.
Yeah.
Something.
Maybe.
Otherwise, so I mean, and that's why, earlier I said, this is going to turn ugly. Because to a certain extent, it has turned ugly. In the sense that you get the Minister of Home Affairs, Minister of Minister of Law doing this and kind of it shows one side of it. I totally don't agree with the things said in his Google document, but there's the other side. And then it just becomes it's a he said, she said kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is a sad thing.
Yeah, and I guess for the activist side this is a demonstration of how there isn't a lot of room for civil discourse in Singapore, right? And you can understand the frustration that people have also about this.
Yeah.
But overall, what do you think of how do you grade Shanmugam's conduct during this whole thing?
I mean, in the video, he did come across as, even though yes, he lost his cool towards the end.
Yeah.
It did feel like, wow, I don't blame him for acting the way he did, lah. And that's where, to me, I'm like, wow, you're doing a disservice to your cause, lah.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
you're turning even the neutral people off your cause and off your behavior.
Yeah.
Which is a problem we see with a lot of activists, lah. So yeah, lah.
Correct.
You?
Correct. I think, yeah. I mean, I felt okay. At least after that, Shanmugam still met with them and he still had a conversation with them. Maybe very one-sided, didn't achieve what they want, but at least he did speak to them, lah.
Yeah.
I think that's an important part of the process also, lah. Right? You might not enjoy hearing what he has to say, but at least he speaks to them. The only one that I feel a bit more regretful, lah, right, is I think Josephine Teo. I think she also made a Facebook post about it, where she shared two particular incidents that happened during an MPS where they wanted to voice about they wanted to talk about Singapore's stance on the Israel-Hamas conflict, right? I think she mentioned something about such incidents. I'm going to just quoting her. She said, "It goes without saying that my volunteers were perturbed and saddened by such incidents, especially when they respond to help seekers with sincere intent, never expecting to be led to an ambush. Such incidents affect my volunteers and our sense of safety as we carry out our duties. It becomes hard to let our guard down when we do not know if we might be treated with hostility, called names, or be secretly recorded and featured in articles designed to paint us in a bad light." So that I kind of like felt like a bit much, right, to merely label it an ambush, you know, and saying that your safety is merely compromised, because usually there's a big group of volunteers and then security and all that if you're a minister as well, right? So it just makes this, just make the whole MPS thing kind of feel like...
vilified almost.
Yeah, almost like...
Weaponized.
Yeah, saying that there was an ambush or something like that. I think these are also activists who maybe they feel very frustrated with the way things are and they want to come and voice it out, right? But I think that just because it's... I think as a public official especially, there will be instances like that, right? When people who disagree with you and will also be a bit more confrontational that way, right? It will happen. And I think that's part of the job as well, right? But the more they pile on and talk about it being an ambush and the sense of safety being compromised, I'm like, hey, come on, at the end of the day, that's where you have to put in the guardrails, right? There's your bodyguards and all these things, and make it as welcoming as possible, even if the person is not saying something that you enjoy listening to, right?
Yeah.
That comes with the job of being a public servant, and that's why we elect you as a leader also, right?
Yeah.
To be the face of the people and to take care of the issues and all that.
Yeah.
So I felt like, I mean, you can't possibly expect everyone to be like perfectly polite. I mean, like they mentioned, right? And there will be incidents like this. And that's why I thought, okay, Shanmugam, at least he still spoke to them after. And he didn't, I mean, he called out rowdyism and all that, right? But at least he still spoke to them. Whereas when the other MPs are all piling on, I'm like, wow, come on. Like, just let Shanmugam deal with his thing and then you deal with yours, right?
Yeah, as in, don't make it sound like the MPS now is a battleground.
Yeah,
right? You go there most of the time, I think it's just uncles and aunties sitting around being cordial and all.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, there was also some commenters saying that, even for Shanmugam being called coward, like what you say, like it's part and parcel of being a public figure. Could he have conducted in a more compassionate way and not lose his cool as well? I think that would be great. But I can imagine it's also not the easiest to just be called a coward and be all calm and composed. Being a politician, you are held up to a higher standard.
It's part of the territory.
So, I mean, I don't think he behaved like as destructively as the others, but could he behave better? Of course.
Yeah.
Take it as a learning point. Take it as opposed to just completely just labeling them as like disruptors and just out to cause a ruckus.
Yeah. But so that's it's a rough thing that happened over the weekend for civil discourse, right, in Singapore.
Yeah.
But there's some better news about other things that are coming up. And what is this good news for the everyday person on the street?
It is that 4 major supermarket operators are going to be introducing unit pricing for common grocery items.
Yeah.
So that basically means you will see like the price, yes, but it will also show the price per kilogram or per unit. So, for example, eggs, you have all these different eggs, all these different prices, but there will be a per unit pricing that shows across the board what is the price per egg. So even if it's a packet of 6 eggs, 12 eggs, 15 eggs, there will be that unifying denominator.
Yeah.
So it's Fair Price, Cold Storage, Giant, Sheng Siong, and Prime. I guess that's considered 4 because Cold Storage and Giant fall under the same brand.
Yeah.
They will all display unit pricing.
That's right.
Yeah. So I mean, this is a pilot initiative, and then after that there'll be a market survey to gather feedback and hopefully this stays.
Yeah.
But when you saw this news, what made you want to talk about it?
I think it's because I think cost of living is on everyone's minds, right?
Yeah.
And there's so much talk about like how much the price of eggs have gone up in the US recently. I think it's timely. It's timely that with this kind of more consumer friendly kind of moves are being made to allow consumers to make better decisions. And I did not know that there was a Price Kaki app. You heard of that Price Kaki app?
I think when I saw it, I was like, oh shit, it sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah. So it's an app that you can download. I think there have been more than 170,000 downloads, but it displays the prices of more than 1,200 foods, drinks, and household products by its weight or by how many milliliters. So by 100 grams or 100 milliliters. So I actually downloaded the app and checked it out. I mean, it's true. And it tells you like the individual NTUCs or the individual fair price outlets, what the different prices are for all these items. So it really allows you to compare the price of items by unit basis. And I guess the update is that now, even on the display in store, that they will start showing you the unit prices for these things, which is, I think, is even better. Yeah.
So, I mean, like, the only criticism I've seen online is that, but then won't it require more effort to, for printing out? And I mean, a lot of these places already use digital price tagging, not everything.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it feels like this is a good thing. Because I know when I order online, say Amazon, sometimes Amazon Fresh can be cheaper.
Yeah.
And the per unit thing really helps.
Yeah.
I think even Shopee or Lazada does it. And it's very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you're buying stuff just on price. Like toilet rolls, you might have a few favorites, but it's not say I'm super loyal to one brand.
Yeah.
For ease, I might get the same brand.
Yeah.
But I think this per unit thing is good.
Yeah. I think it brings us closer in line to countries like Australia, where they have much stronger consumer protection also. So I'm super in favor of stuff that is a bit more better for the consumer, right? In terms of decision making.
But then, when you buy eggs, some got extra large eggs, some got large eggs.
Yeah.
Then you want to do a calculation based on prices, but then the size also. Then if it's per unit, it's not going to make everybody happy, right?
Correct.
So in some way, maybe all the egg suppliers will be like, hey, actually, we just give all the smallest eggs. If we bring down the per unit pricing.
Yeah.
Then also the consumer loses.
But that's where, that's the joys of still being able to go to a supermarket and look at the eggs yourself and everything, right? Like, it doesn't beat, I mean, the e-commerce can never beat, like, retail in that way, right?
Like when you buy eggs, do you have a brand that you always go to?
Not really. But the size got difference on that. But you can feel it when you pick it up and everything, right?
Yeah. I got some kampung egg,
Yeah. And the taste actually also got you can taste the difference and everything on
really?
Yeah. As in the quality of the egg and everything matters depends on where you buy from and everything.
But how you normally eat your eggs?
For me, like, I like to mix like eggs, like the soft boiled ones with rice sometimes.
Or the onsen egg lah.
Yeah, onsen egg style. So the quality of the egg actually does matter a lot in that sense.
So you can tell the egg just by like, this one kampung egg.
I mean, it starts with my wife also telling me that, this one is that particular egg that we went to the supermarket.
Then you got a bias.
Of course, slight bias lah. I admit lah. But it still doesn't detract from the fact that when you actually see the egg itself, you can tell how big it is and everything. Right?
Some eggs are fucking huge.
Yeah. But I mean, when you don't you feel like also given that nowadays, like kids today, for example, they don't even handle cash anymore in the traditional sense, like how we did, right? So they don't even do that mental calculation of, okay, if this costs 60 cents, I give you $1, how much change I get back? Do you think this will make our math standards in Singapore any worse? Because now you don't have to divide already. It's all there. It's just there in front of you. So I do worry about that for my kids, that my kid, that he doesn't deal with actual cash anymore, right? So he knows the cost of it, but it doesn't register like how much he's spending or how much he has left in his wallet and things like that. And that will affect his, whether it's like budgeting and.
And why can't you just give him cash?
Because a lot of places don't accept cash anymore. So what? Right?
Really?
Yeah, a lot of cafes, all that, or even like not even cafes, like those. You buy something from a takeaway store, they don't even accept cash anymore sometimes. Yeah. So do you think this one will make us
just dumbing everyone down?
Yeah,
right?
dumbing. It's like how when Google Maps was introduced, suddenly everyone doesn't know how to get anywhere except with Google Maps already. Yeah.
I don't know because I think you still see the price and then you see the unit thing. Then some, like there'll be 12 eggs, 6 eggs, 5 eggs, 10 eggs. Yeah. So I think it's still okay lah. Still okay. Like I would be surprised if people say, "Wow, this is a terrible system."
Yeah,
this is terrible. The bigger thing is like how will it affect the packaging by the suppliers of these products lah? Whether they will start optimizing for per unit pricing as opposed to like whatever they're optimizing now lah.
Has there been that issue in like places like Australia or?
I don't know. What? I mean, I can't imagine there being, because like overall, then you. It still gives a bit more of a level playing field for comparison lah. Yeah, so I think this is net still good lah. And I think if it dumps people down, I mean then fucking like I think AI is a bigger threat. Like unit pricing in Sheng Siong, I don't think that's going to have a material impact on our average intelligence.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if the downfall of humanity
is because of
per unit pricing in Sheng Siong in Singapore?
Yeah. At least it's not like search pricing. There's something like would be scary if they introduce that in supermarkets.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, like pretty. Like the
it's a win lah. It's a win for consumers.
Yeah, it's a win lah. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know how long this will last. But there will be a survey being done, and hopefully it comes out lah.
Yeah.
Comes out positive.
Yeah.
And this one, is a step in the right direction lah.
It is.
Yeah. So all good with that lah.
Yeah.
All good with that.
But yes, speaking of all good, what is your one Shiok comment of this past few days lah?
Okay, let me pull it up. Yeah. So there was this comment on our Yalabat subreddit called "An Alternative to the Method to the Madness" in quotes, that was posted, and I don't think it's just a repost from another thread. It's something posted by a user Singaporing. And the TLDR of this post is: I achieved the supposed optimal outcome for JET electoral boundaries by only changing 14 constituencies and affecting less than 400k voters. In contrast, EBRC changed 30 constituencies and impacted 1.9 million voters to achieve the same outcome.
Yeah.
So basically, what this person did was that I think they came up with a spreadsheet. Like they calculated the MPs, the number of electors per MP, the actual outcome versus the outcome that this person is proposing. So I thought, hey, shit, that's a lot of work, man.
Yeah.
And they even, pointed out that at the risk of them totally missing their deadlines at work, they did a comparison, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, this is some effort, and shout out to this user lah. Yeah. What about you?
Mine's from the subreddit on the last episode with Hazel Pua, right? Where Hermit mentions that Hazel Pua mentioned she was surprised by her first election results due to the responses she had received from the ground during her visits. So this was the part where she said that certain Singaporeans, they were seemed to be very rousing in support of her, right? But then the election results didn't necessarily reflect that perception that she had, right? So she said, so Hermit says, most Singaporeans are courteous but conservative. They will greet you politely and even engage in friendly banter with you. However, unless their interests are being affected, they are generally supporters of the status quo. That's why we have the term silent majority. Many of them are not participative on social media. Thus, even if you see loads of negative sentiments online, you should never expect that would lead to votes of the opposition. So do you think that's true? That Singaporeans just like we're very courteous and saying, yeah, I support you, then after that go and vote for the other person?
Yeah, I can imagine that. I think that's human nature.
Yeah.
I think that's human nature. You can always, it's like, when anyone who's ever wanted to start an idea or start a business selling stuff, everyone you tell the idea, people are like, you know what, that's a great idea. Then you launch it and nobody buys it.
Yeah.
You're like, fuck you all, okay? Yeah. But I think that's human nature. I don't think it's a Singaporean thing.
No, I think this sentiment that he's putting here is what I've been experiencing when talking about Trump with people these days, where you go in guns blazing, wow, do you see Trump? He did this ridiculous thing, that ridiculous thing. And then you watch the other person's reaction and they're kind of like, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then I realized, oh, shit, am I talking to someone who, actually like is actually a Trump supporter or thinks Trump is generally a positive, right? And not saying that he's a negative. I'm just saying that maybe that my reaction comes across as very extreme to them, right? And the way they reply is very like this, very courteous but conservative.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is imaginable.
Yeah. Happens,
and people just don't want to talk about Trump over dinner, Terrence.
But nowadays we're already beyond that stage where it's taboo to talk about politics. Even in the first meeting or second meeting, right? I think we were recently at a gathering where we bumped into a bunch of Americans also, right? And they were quite quiet at first, but the moment we start talking about American politics, it's like their faces just lit up. And a huge burden was lifted off their shoulders.
They could talk.
They could talk openly.
Because in the US, I can imagine. Oh, it's fucking hard, man.
Yeah.
In fact, now I would say Singaporeans are more open.
Yeah, more open, right?
More open.
So I'm okay lah. Even I bring out dinner, it's okay lah. It doesn't make me a pariah.
Yeah, as long as you get invited to those dinners, or you suddenly think, how come I haven't met up with his friends for a long time?
They're very busy all the time.
Very busy,
yeah.
But cool. And what about your one Shiok thing, man?
My one Shiok thing is actually a pretty interesting YouTube channel that I found recently, because I think you set me on that path of like looking at how, crip walk dancing, right? Because of Serena Williams at Kendrick Lamar's halftime show at the Super Bowl, right? So I keep searching for crip walk tutorial, crip walk dance, how to do it and all that. Then somehow this channel got fed to me. It's this channel from an influencer called Lauren Jumps. I don't know if you know her.
No.
But apparently she's close to 2 million subs on YouTube. But she basically skips rope. That's her thing. She skips rope to music. And so she has little snippets where she, like say Kendrick Lamar's song, she skips rope and there's like a little dance routine in between the rope skipping. So she's from the UK. She's quite big in the UK already. And I think she had a very viral video recently because she was doing the crip walk dance while skipping rope.
Is it?
To the Kendrick Lamar song.
Well, what's her name again? Lauren?
Lauren Jumps. Yeah. So I thought, again, NSFW, right? So if you're a dude in the office alone or in the bus, maybe don't bring it, don't open it, because it looks like you're just perving at a scantily clad woman skipping rope. But
I have seen her. I've seen her.
I see. Okay, thank you. Man of culture, as I see.
I've seen her.
No, but the thing is that I think the cool thing is that she doesn't just show the final product. She actually shows the whole behind the scenes process of how she comes up with the routine. And usually there's a lot of failure involved. She shows like how she tries a lot of different things and then she ends up whipping herself or getting it wrong. But at the end, when she finally nails it, then it's like, oh, fucking awesome, right?
She won a lot.
So yeah, it's cool to see someone, rather than just like there's actual like skill involved rather than just being skimpily clad and dancing.
So that's what you tell people when you're watching it as you're eating your Hokkien mee at Hawker Centre.
Yeah. No, but I like skipping. I mean, little known fact. Actually, when I was younger, I was pretty good at skipping. I actually ranked like twice in like school competitions. Within my school, yeah. Like for skipping, I was just happened to be pretty good at it. Yeah.
So you could do like the crisscross.
Tricks. I could do tricks. And then there'll be these competitions every year where you skip for like 5 minutes in front of the.
And you do like the tricks.
Yeah, I do the tricks. And I came up like third 2 years in a row or something like that.
nationally.
No, not nationally,
Oh.
within my school, primary
within your school. Oh,
but still pretty
shit.
fucking good, I mean, must say, yeah.
Fuck, I know you how long already? I had no idea, yeah.
Yeah, I don't break it out very often for.
But you got your skipping rope like John Wick like that, buried somewhere.
Yeah. It's
like once in a
it's in a frame, like I'll take it out once in a while.
Oh,
no, but I mean
shit.
that's why I appreciate skipping a lot, because there's a lot of practice, a lot of skill involved in the whole process, and she actually shows it how she gets there, lah. Yeah, so it's quite cool to watch. Yeah. So it's nothing that it's not perving or anything like that, lah. Although I mean she's good looking and then
she's good
well dressed and everything, but her skipping skills are legit, lah. Can you skip?
Just the basic, I can't do any tricks.
You can't do the cross and all that. Yeah, so I could do like a cross, squat, one leg, and then all that stuff. Yeah. But back in the day, not now, yeah.
Walao, next live show, next live show. We do a skipping performance.
Yeah. We start a YouTube channel called Yellow Butt Jumps.
Yellow Butt Jumps.
Right, and what's your one Shiok thing?
My one Shiok thing is a video that I just saw in a feed. I don't know why also. It's from this channel called Below the Fray, which kind of does like video essays. Oh shit, no, actually they've only got 2 videos, but more about literary topics.
Yeah.
So the video is titled "Why Dua Lipa is So Good at Asking Questions." So I mean, like I'm a fan of Dua Lipa. I mean, okay, not to say I listen to her every song, and of course,
visually, you're a fan of.
She's gorgeous, you know.
Okay.
But like, if you look, she was a meme for damn long because she's not the most naturally good at dancing or stage presence,
Yeah.
But she has like worked on it, and now she's pretty badass,
Yeah.
But this person was just analyzing clips from her podcast, because she actually has a podcast with the BBC called At Your Service,
yes,
where she interviews artists, thought leaders and cultural icons, and this guy goes on to kind of dissect about how she's actually an amazing interviewer, even when he compares interviews with like late show hosts, 60 Minutes and Friends, podcast, morning shows, and he kind of goes into like, why was she ever doubted as an interviewer? Is it because she's a pop icon and all?
Yeah.
But the excerpts he shows, right, like whenever she asks questions, you get these authors who have been interviewed, and they even say, I've been on so many shows, I've been on so many podcasts, but no one has asked me a question as beautifully as you just did. And of course, with a British accent and all, everything sounds great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was just interesting. I'm like, I mean, I won't deny when I first heard she's starting a podcast, I'm like, yeah, there's going to be some frivolous stuff and all. But now I totally want to watch it because she interviews people like Tim Cook and all. And apparently she's a damn good interviewer.
Do you think the optics help also or not? That they are looking at Dua Lipa asking a question. So it's like generally
maybe if she asks you, what
lah.
did you have for lunch? What did you consume for lunch? I'm like, yo,
it's the most amazing question.
Has ever asked me that before.
Yeah.
I mean, if doing an interview with Dua Lipa is really like fucking great,
So it's biased, There's probably bias.
No, but the way she asks the questions, because there are clips also that kind of show her, like when she's talking to, I think, a Nigerian writer, she talks about the history of Nigerian youth and all that, and it's like legit questions,
I see.
Then peppered with the visuals and her British accent. Yeah.
She does her research,
She does her research. Okay. So it's great, Wow. And I mean, he just dissects about why did we ever doubt someone like Dua Lipa who starts a podcast? Maybe because there's so many people you see start a podcast and people are like, start a podcast for what?
Yeah.
The Haktua girl started a podcast and all.
Yeah.
But apparently this podcast is great.
That's cool. I've seen clips, but I didn't realize that they were good.
Yeah.
That's a surprising thing.
Yeah. No, some people, like some of the authors were like, oh my god, it's beautiful, blah blah.
So yeah, our one Shiok thing is quite common, right? Like visually appealing people doing things that we thought that actually have depth to it,
Yeah, correct.
That's what you spend your weekend doing, I suppose.
That is true, man. That is true.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Cool, man.
Cool.
Awesome.
Wow. It's gonna be a busy week.
Yeah, a lot of episodes, a lot of recording. So busy but exciting.
Yeah.
Busy but exciting. But so as always, if you enjoyed the podcast, please remember to follow us on social media. And so that's Instagram, TikTok, Reddit. Leave us a rating on Spotify because that'll help us a lot. And if you want to work with us,
email us at contact@ministryoffunny.com or just check out ministryoffunny.com.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to y'all soon.